All right, as you can see, I've finished patching up the head hole. If the head doesn't quite fit in it, we can always sand it down a little more, like we did to sand it down originally. You can also see that I've chosen to jettison that line in the back. It was just too skinny, and it was gonna collapse. So I've just cut it in the back. You can see this is kind of a sport of just making judgment calls about what you think would look nice. So anyway, so we've patched it in the front, we've patched it in the back, now on to more easy patching jobs. And hopefully you'll start out breaking small stuff and then move on to breaking larger stuff. So by the time you're breaking important stuff, you will have learned how to patch correctly. So now I'm going to look over the doll for any places where they might have overcarved the lines. Let's see if I can find one. I'm sure I can. They're all over the place. All right. This line right here. This sleeve is not supposed to go up past the armpit here, but it does, because when they were cutting it, they were a little missing with the saw. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of the paste that we just made in that crack and smooth it over a little bit. There we go. And you can just examine the body for cracks like this. If you happen to fill up any cracks that you shouldn't, just carve them back out again before it dries. It's a little harder to carve once it's dried, as you probably understand. I'm going to carve that bit out too. There we go. You're going to want to wait about 24 hours until this is totally dry. That's how long it takes. And then you're going to want to go through and sand it down, just like you did initially with the doll. And you will get smoothed over places, hopefully. Okay. Now, after I've found, let's assume now that I've found all the bits where they've overcarved, even though I know I really haven't. Let's look over the doll for any bits that might just be uneven. This doll is actually quite nice for that, actually. She doesn't seem to have too many bits that aren't quite right. Pretty much you don't want any little U-shaped depressions within a sector. That tends to be, those tend to be intended to be straight, so if they're not straight, that means you need to patch them. Oh, usually there's one under the arms. Okay, so a place you might want to look, it's not really a problem too much with this doll, this area right under the arm here, and as you can see there's a nice line coming down in a curve here. Sometimes, the way they carve the lines, sometimes it will pop up right here. It'll just kind of go up and then curve over, and then it'll drop into that groove right there. That's kind of what you want to avoid, because then you get air bubbles in your cloth. Another thing you might want to look out for while patching is edges that do not come down at a 90-degree angle. And let me see if I can find one for you here. This doll is a pain because it's so nice. It just doesn't have too many flaws in it that I can nitpick about. Oh. Okay, I guess right here. Let me see if I can get this so you can see it. Alright, see this crack right here? That's not a perfect 90-degree drop between here and here. So we're actually going to want to smooth out that ledge a little bit. Let me get a little paste on a little bit of the patchings on my prong here. And what we're going to do in this case is we're actually going to fill in this groove just a little bit. And then we're going to recut it like that. And then we're going to smooth out both sides. When this gets sanded, it's going to be a nice 90-degree angle, and this line is going to be a lot sharper than it was. Now, another thing we want to watch out for, and this one is actually kind of important, and there's a good example of it, is right in this area right here. We want these two nice little pieces of wood here to come to a point. It's going to look really nice in fabric if it comes to a point. We're going to get a glob of the filling solution. Just fill that in. The whole thing, fill it in. And just recarve it. And next time we have a go at sanding this, it's going to, we're going to be a little more careful not to break it so much. But this glue usually dries a little bit harder than the stuff that's already there, so there we go. Doesn't that come to a lovely point now? When we sand it down, it'll look even better. There we go. And of course, you always want to patch the bits that have chipped off. That bit right there, too small to keep and glue back in. So I'm just going to take a little bit and patch it. You're also going to want to go over all of your lines, and if they fluctuate in width anywhere, like this one right here, there's a nice dip right there that I can fill. See that flaw right where my pointer is, right there. See that nice little dip right there? That's exactly the sort of thing we want to be filling. So I'm going to just fix that. And this knife is nice and straight, so we can just smear some stuff on it and press it down, and it'll be nice and flat. There we go. And generally, it's good to go on the internet and get some pictures of what these costumes look like, so you understand where the curves in the costume are supposed to go, and understand which parts look better when they're straight. That'll help you make these calls a lot better about what needs to be filled and what doesn't. All right, I think that about covers it for patching. Thank you for watching.